Calendar item number 8, hearing called is ordered on the application of AL Prime Energy Consultant, Inc., 18 Lark Ave, Saugus, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to reconstruct and expand a nonconforming use and structure to enable the appellant to construct a 22 ground square foot retail convenience store and 10 gas lead pumps on lot 215-4 at 655 Revere Beach Parkway.
For the applicants, I remind the applicant and the folks that are going to be speaking to keep this brief. We will be going into zoning subcommittee and more in detail. So just explain what you're going to do, and we won't have any questions tonight if I can avoid it. Name and address for the record, sir.
Thank you, Mr. President. Attorney Dan Buckley, D'Ambrosio Brown, 14 Proctor Avenue. Myself, Attorney Jerry D'Ambrosio, here on behalf of the applicant AL Prime. In addition, Nasha Brussier, the owner of AL Prime, as well as the engineer of the project, Tony Guba. Well, I know Mr. President doesn't want any questions. He would be here for any technical questions regarding the project. The application presented to the council is for a special permit for reconstruction and expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use and non-conforming structure at 655 Revere Beach Parkway for the purpose of constructing a 2,200 square foot, one-floor building and 10 gasoline pumps. The property is 16,600 square feet at the corner of Revere Beach Parkway and Vinyl Street in the RB district. The current building is one story, approximately 1,400 square feet. The proposed plan is to add a 2,200, take away that current structure and add the 2,200 square foot property, which would be into the corner of the building. Again, it would be the same size as in height. It's a one story, but would add some square footage. The proposed plan for AL Prime is $1 million+ investment in the neighborhood. This new building, in addition to 10 parking spots, which are identified in the plan, 8 across the back as well as 2 in the front. As part of the application and the renovations, there would be a tank removal. The tanks are currently situated in the northeast corner and are going to be removed. They're currently 30,000 gallons. There is no request or there's going to be no increase in the gallons. It's just going to be replaced and removed to 2 tanks in the southeast corner of the property. The fuel dispensers are going to be 10 of them in the middle of the property off Vinyl Street, and in addition to that, there will be a canopy, a new canopy put over those fuel dispensers. Now, what also is going to be added to the property is a drainage system, which does not exist at the property right now, and is identified in the plans. The drainage system would have a new storm scepter, stormwater treatment, which would treat the water and then ultimately connect it to the city system after cleaned. In addition, after meeting with a site plan review, you can see from this plan there's significant landscaping additions on all sides. You can see the trees along Revere Beach Parkway, near the signage at the intersection of Vinyl Street, and also at the abutting properties behind this. What I've proposed to you is some of the additions that's going to be in the proposal, but also think that there are some benefits both to the city and the neighborhood, which I believe Attorney Jerry D'Ambrosio would like to highlight for a few moments right now.
And I'm going to go fairly quickly because I know Council President is indicated.
Time's up.
Time's up. Time's up. That's a tough thing to say to a lawyer. But all that being said, I want to emphasize one thing about this project. It is an upgrade to the community, and I really want to reiterate why. First of all, for all of the city councilors sitting here, you'll know that this site was a problem in the past with regard to U-Haul trucks. And those U-Haul trucks, or the renting of those U-Haul trucks, probably went back 30 years to the days I lived on Taft Street in Revere. That has been alleviated. Those U-Haul trucks are gone. They are not contemplated in the future of this site. They will not be returned. So that is a major betterment to that community. Secondly, this project will alleviate the traffic concerns that currently exist on Revere Beach Parkway and Vinyl Street. Again, for all of you city councilors who've been sitting here, you know that there's a backup problem currently at the station. As folks try to enter, they usually back up onto Vinyl Street and sometimes into Revere Beach Parkway as they wait to enter onto the gasoline station. This upgrade now has 10 pumps instead of 4 with wider lanes. So it allows for motor vehicles to actually be queued up on the parking or the gasoline station as opposed to out on Vinyl Street or on Revere Beach Parkway. It's important to understand, though, we are not increasing capacity. It currently holds approximately 30,000 gallons worth of fuel. It will continue to only hold 30,000 gallons worth of fuel. We are just adding pumps. A perfect analogy to this is like being in a busy supermarket. Rather than expanding that supermarket, we are simply adding cashiers so that people who are at that supermarket can more quickly process their order and get out. We're hoping that by adding 6 more pumps will allow motor vehicles that are coming off of Vinyl and off of Revere Beach Parkway to enter the station, be serviced, do what they need to do, and move on in a quicker fashion. So again, the U-Haul trucks are gone. It will alleviate traffic. And thirdly, and just as importantly, this spot is an environmental upgrade to what currently exists. Again, councilors, you all know that there is currently a flooding problem at this section of Revere Beach Parkway. Part of that flooding problem is created by the runoff from all of the asphalt along the Revere side of the parkway. This new plan envisions a storm scepter system which will intercept all of the water coming off the asphalt. It'll be captured and rerouted into, it'll be cleaned first of all, it'll be segregated, and we'll get to those details in the subcommittee, but it'll go through a chemical process and then captured, treated, and released into our system so that you don't have this runoff problem going out into Revere Beach Parkway. I would also add, and again, I'm abbreviating this, we did have a community meeting. It was held on April 16th from 5 to 6:30 p.m. in the neighborhood. There were 9 individuals, all neighbors, that appeared at that meeting between the hours of 5 and 6:30. There were 7 in favor, 1 in opposition, and 1 that was neutral. So I'm not sure who's here today, but I will say that during the course of that hour and a half during that public hearing, the vast majority of people who appeared were in favor of this project. That being said, we'll accept any questions if there are any. Otherwise, we could do it in subcommittee. Thank you.
Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Any other proponents? Hearing or seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Is there anybody opposed to this project? Oops. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Geraldine Gargiulo. I own the property at 68 to 76 Victoria Street. For the better part of my adult life, I've been arguing about what's getting built on Revere Beach Parkway, which abuts my property. I was the one person in opposition at this meeting, and I continue to be. I certainly think that the people who are presenting this plan would make a better gas station than there is there. But it's going to be considerably larger. It currently has it has 4 pumps. It has a relatively small canopy that covers the 4 pumps, and the 4 pumping capacity. I think there's 2 pumps on each side, so there's 4 slots for cars. Currently, you can primarily enter the station through Vinyl Street, either by coming down Vinyl Street or coming down Haddon Street or coming off the Parkway. And when you leave, if you're driving to Medford or Everett, the likelihood is you will drive back out to the divided highway of Revere Beach Parkway and keep going west. Or you'll figure out a way to back up on that property because you've already backed up to put your gas tank on the right side of the pump, which is very confusing. And the other half of that traffic is going to go out the Vinyl Street area. Haddon Street is one way coming off of Winthrop Avenue. So the majority of that traffic is going to go up Victoria Street in order to access Broadway or Haddon Street or the other side of Winthrop Avenue. I understand that there are going to be other forums to speak, and I don't want to belabor this, but the gentleman who was presenting the plan suggested that I go and look at AL Prime on Western Ave in Lynn, and I did that today. That particular facility has the capacity for 8 tanks. It has a canopy that is at well over twice the size of the canopy that is currently in the location they're talking about in Revere. It does have a convenience store. I don't believe it's 22,000 square feet. It has 5 parking spaces for the convenience store, one of which is disabled parking closest to the business where the air pump is, which doesn't make much sense to me, and the air pump is broken, as is the air pump at the location in Revere at this current time. The traffic is very willy-nilly. What I was looking at today on Western Avenue were 8 pumps. So it was twice the size of the facility in Revere. And it was also a corner station. And you could access it either by Western Ave, where you could go out and go left or right, or by a side street where you could go left or right. The traffic tie-up in that area was horrendous. I must have seen, by the time that I stood there and took pictures, it was about 50 cars that just were all jammed up, going in different directions with very little room in the area for cars to turn around. On behalf of AL Prime, I went into the convenience store. The building itself was horrible. The signage was terrible. The signage for the gas station actually exceeded the height of the MBTA station that's down there on Western Ave in Lynn. It's huge. The store itself was well stocked. It was well presented. It was very clean. It smelled very good. People were clearly taking care of it. And in that sense, they did a very nice job. But I do not believe that the area on Victoria Street and Vinyl Street and abutting Bayview is the right place to enlarge this particular station from a 4-pump station to a 10-pump station. And on top of that, add a 22,000 square foot convenience store. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Opponent, name and address for the record, please.
Karen Fields, 180 Vinyl Street. I will be living across from the store. I am so tired of coming home from work every day, working very hard, not being able to get into my street. I finally get into my street. I can't find a parking spot. I'm very tired. I park on the street. I have no driveway in my house. I'm concerned about the store for numerous reasons. One, the lights and the increased signage. Will this be shining into my windows now at night when I'm trying to sleep? What type of people are going to be attracted to this store? Will I have more people coming in? Will I have to worry about my car now on the street? Will I have windshields broken? Will I have my car broken into? Will I have unsavory characters? How long is this going to be open at night? What are the hours? And what is the increased traffic? And how is this going to affect my quality of life? My husband and I work very hard to keep our home impeccable. We have a postage stamp piece of grass that my husband goes crazy every day mowing and taking care of. Every morning we come up, we find Dunkin' Donut glasses put on it. People sit on our sort of cement thing like it's their own little bistro, and we're tired of picking up after people, and we're tired of cleaning up. We're trying to keep a respectable property. I'm just very worried about what kind of people, and are they going to respect the property like we do? We own it, we pay taxes on it, we work very hard. I want to come home, I want to have a nice piece of property. When we clean it, I don't want to have to clean up more coffee cups. I don't want to have people sitting on their cell phones talking right outside my window or have signage. So I'm opposed to this. I will listen to more recommendations, but enough is enough with the traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Are there any other opponents? Sir, name and address for the record, sir.
My name is Jose Ramos, and I live in 179 Vinyl Street. My house is the house next to the gas station, and I think it's a very bad idea to increase the business in this location. I've been living in there for 10 years, and my house, if you started on Vinyl Street going towards the Parkway, all the houses are very nice, except my house is loaded with garbage and cans, and I come from work late at night. I'm the only person who works in my house, and I come home every night late because I got to support a family. Never seem to find a parking space in my street because there's people coming over here ruthless. They don't care. When the gas station used to rent trucks, people used to park the cars, the vehicles, rent a truck for a whole week and leave their own vehicles in front of my house. And I don't think this is going to help the quality of living. My younger son window faces that gas station. And if they increase this, my son is not going to have a good enough sleep because we don't know what type of people are going to come to this gas station. We don't know what hours they're going to be operating. So I'm really against this proposal. I wish it doesn't happen.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any more opponents? Hearing or seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Councilor Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are some very well concerns from the residents. The thing, and I keep going back to this, and I'm glad it's going to committee. This is one thing that you want to see go to committee, because just looking at the plans that were drawn up, and I know Frank Stringy had a lot to do with it because I see trees, flowers, and the aesthetics of it, which right now you go by there. And this is what I want people to understand. I go by there every day. I get my gas there every day, every other day, whatever. Get it there too often. But, and I go different ways. I go out the Parkway sometimes if I'm going to Broadway, Dunkin' Donuts, or if I'm going to City Hall, I'll go out Vinyl Street. And yes, sometimes I do. To go home, I go down Victoria Street. And, and I stayed there the last couple of days, because the traffic, the issues, the U-Haul trucks, one of the biggest calls I got as a council in my life up in the Immaculate area. No question about it. Thank God they're gone. They parked in the streets. I mean, had the cops down there. It was insane. The second thing is the traffic coming off of Vinyl Street. People are rude, unfortunately. They block the road. They can't get by. I called the traffic commissioner up to the police department, Christianino, one day to go check it out. He went by there and almost got in a fight with people. He couldn't get by himself. But it's an issue. This issue is going to solve that. That's the only thing I'm saying. This gas station is not going to go away. If you vote this down, they're improving different things. Site plan review made them move the building, made them move the pumps certain ways to improve the area. So I'm saying, is it all good and is it all bad? Probably not, but I think the people who have concerns should show up at the zoning committee, if that's where it's going, Mr. President, and voice their things, and maybe we can straighten the negatives out. Because you got to try to look at the positives. The traffic, no question, is brutal. It's an accident waiting to happen. People can't get up to their own home. But there are a lot of people that use this gas station in that area. The one way would, I mean, I don't know if that's here nor there, but there are some good that can come out of this. So I'm just saying, keep an open mind. Let us go to a committee. Let's try to tackle the problems that are there and see if we make it better. Now, the U-Hauls are gone. I mean, you can't blame parking up the street on this gas station. Some of the issues that were brought up, I mean, coffee cups, they don't sell coffee there right now. So these issues are happening now as we speak. My thing is, how can we solve those problems that are happening now? Now, let's let it go to subcommittee. I see some good in this, and I see some valuable questions that people are asking and are concerns about, and they should be. So with that, I mean, I just hope when we get the committee, the zoning committee hasn't been meeting regularly lately, so
I'm not sure when the next zoning meeting is, if that's where you're sending it. But I would like these people, hopefully they can show up to the zoning meeting.
Could I just clarify one point, and I won't belabor it? There is no signage change requested. What's there is what will be there. There is no increase in signage. I want that to be clear. Secondly, the convenience store is not a 2,200 square foot convenience store. It is 1,000 square feet. So I want to again make that clear. And the U-Haul trucks are gone. So.
Excuse me. Let him, he's trying to bring some points up now, but we'll be bringing it up at the zoning subcommittee. We can get into detail with it. Okay, we're not looking for, we'll make sure that the clerk notifies you by mail when the next zoning subcommittee is. Okay? So you want to speak against this? Go ahead.
My name is David Hunt, 79 Victoria Street. We know the gas station's been there since I lived there, since I was born. The U-Hauls were there since 1954. Those are gone. That's good. The only concerns we're having is if they put a convenience store in there, how long is it going to be open? And also, when they said they weren't going to raise anything on the building, this new building is going to be 4 feet higher, and they're going to move it 25 feet to the end of the property. That will basically cover his house. I just wanted to have that on there.
It's on the record, sir. Thank you. And again, you can repeat this when you go in front of the zoning subcommittee to discuss it. Okay? Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll be brief. I have a personal interest in this issue because I grew up on Victoria Street. It was my grandfather's house. It was my father's house. And now it's my sister's house. She still lives there. I'm familiar with the traffic, and I'm familiar with the old gas station. But I think that Councilor Penta said it right. This gas station ain't going to go away. So hopefully I'm willing to work with the neighbors at the zoning committee. I got to talk to my sister. She didn't call me on this. My niece lives downstairs with her 5 kids. So I got to find out how she feels, and I'll be even though I'm not on the zoning committee, I'll be at that meeting. Thank you.
Okay, Council. Thank you. With that, this will go to zoning subcommittee. Next item.
Calendar item number 9, hearing called is ordered on the application of Paul Bonfiglio, 245 Revere Street, Revere, Mass., seeking permission from the Revere City Council to convert a pre-existing non-conforming structure from 4 residential units and 1 commercial unit to 5 residential units and 1 commercial unit on Lot 7 at 245 Revere Street.
Proponents. Name and address for the record, sir.
Paul Bonfiglio, 20 Wing Road, Linfield, Massachusetts. Here before you, as the clerk just read, to rectify a non-conforming use. We are not adding any structure to the building. We're not increasing any size to the building. This is an existing unit within the building that we're trying to make legal. Thank you. If there's any questions, I'm here to answer them.
Are there any other proponents? Anybody in favor of this? Any other proponents? Any other proponents? Hearing none, I'll close that side of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Anybody against this proposal? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Hearing and seeing none, I will close that portion of the hearing. Councilor Ganasso.
Mr. President, this is the area I represent. I haven't had any complaints in reference to this particular proposal, and it sort of speaks for itself. What it is, in effect, is really clarifying a paper transaction, more or less, because the units are there, they're working, and so this clarifies something for structural information for any future enterprise that might go on there. So I have no objection.
Councilor Correggio.
Thank you. I'd like to speak in favor. As Mr. Bonfiglio indicated, there's no change and the size of the building or adding anything on. It's just basically a language change to make it legal and conform what the building exists. Thank you.
Madam Vice President.
Thank you. I'd also like to speak in favor of this. The building's always kept up very beautifully, and they're great neighbors, so thank you.
Councilor Penta.
I think it's the tenant he keeps in there, that's what it is.
With that, I just want to say my piece. It is going to go into zoning subcommittee. I want everybody to know this precedent had already been set in doing these approvals to expand, and it's not even a live expansion. It's already there what we're looking at. So it's just making it legal. The 5-6 units have been there, forever, and we've done this before, so it's not out of line, and I think it's appropriate to go with it. So with that, it'll go into zoning subcommittee.
I'd just like to thank you all and tell you this tonight brought back many good memories. It was nice to see you all.
This hearing is now closed.
Calendar item number 12, hearing called is ordered on the application of Black Marble Motorcycles LLC, 1760 Revere Beach Parkway, Everett, Mass. Squire LLC, 84 Clifton Street, Belmont, Mass. Wesley LLC, 84 Clifton Street, Belmont, Mass. Seeking to amend the zoning ordinances of the City of Revere as follows. Section 1, Title 17, Chapter 17.16, Section 17.16040, amending the Table of Uses, subsection D, Business Uses, is by adding Class 1 and Class 2 motor vehicle sale use as an available use by special permit in the Industrial Park District.
Proponents, and I want to reiterate again to the applicant's representative that we will be going to the zoning subcommittee for more detail, so please give just a brief synopsis of what's planned so we have an immediate idea, and then we can go into details in subcommittee. So I appreciate that. Name and address for the record, please.
Corey Rhodes, attorney with D'Ambrosio Brown, LLP, 14 Proctor Ave in Revere. I'm also here with attorney D'Ambrosio. We will try to make it quick. We've filed an application to amend the zoning ordinance relative to the industrial park, the IP zoning district. We want to expand the uses available in this district to include the sale of motor vehicles through Class 1 and Class 2. This is related and needed relative to the client who is here today. This is Harley Davidson of Boston. We have Sean Lilly, the CFO. We have Alan Contis, the president, and Andrew Germaniak, the director of facilities. This is a big and exciting project, I think, for Revere in general, because they want to come to Revere to establish their New England hub. This is one of the top 10 franchises for the Harley Davidson brand, well-known, highly sought-after American brand, and they want to come here to Revere, make their hub, invest $14 million to set up shop here. This is related to a specific property in the IP district. You may know it as the old Johnny's Food Master and the related storage, self-storage and Bally's building next door. If you can see by the presentation packets we've handed out and the slides we have here, this building's vacant right now, kind of in disrepair, and they want to come in and transform it. Again, we're talking about $14 million, and this is what we should be ending up with. These are the renderings that the company has put together, doing a complete facelift, interior completely redone, and as you'll see in the packets, this is a company who really takes pride in what they do. They want to make this a beautiful place. They've won awards for their other facilities just for being very, very beautiful and good to their neighbors. Getting back to exactly why this petition is here, it's very simple. This is a property in the IP district. It does not allow right now the sale of motor vehicles through Class 1 or Class 2. And we want to amend that. We think this is a a good change, bringing Harley-Davidson here, allowing them to sell bright, shiny new Harley-Davidsons. And this is one piece of the puzzle, the first step really to bring this great company here. And we'll be back for special permits and to go over everything in more detail.
Yeah,
Jerry?
I would like to reemphasize that point. Really, this is a two-phase zoning relief process, if you will. The first is the outright modification of the zoning for this IP parcel, and that's what we're here for tonight. And assuming we have a favorable outcome after subcommittee, we'll be back before the City Council asking for the special permit for the particular usages that we are requesting. So again, we'll be before you at least twice on this. Thank you.
Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Are there any other proponents? Hearing or seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Are there any opponents? Hearing or seeing none, I'll close that portion of the hearing. Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, I am, as people know, I think since I've been the Ward 6 councilor, we've increased the value of the commercial property on Squire Road, and one thing we do not like is vacant buildings, and unfortunately down here we have two big buildings that are vacant, the health club and and Johnny's. And I've sat with the councilor at a meeting and we've gone over the plans, being the ward councilor, and I can't see nothing but good coming from this project. They're investing a lot of money on purchasing it and refurbishing it. I just feel that it's a big plus for the city of Revere. I mean, just, you know, Harley Davidson, it just has that name, big name to it that will bring people to the city. And I don't think that, as far as traffic, I don't think it'll be as bad. It won't be as bad as having a food mart there and a health club there. And I just see all pluses. So again, it'll be an increase in commercial taxes for the city, and I think we should look forward to having a good neighbor. Thank you.
Councilor Giannino, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say this is a beautiful proposal. That building has been there for so long, and I think that this is a great upgrade to the current facility. It looks amazing. And in terms of the company, you really couldn't look for a more reputable company. They've been around since 1903, I believe. You know, it's a really great product. They stand by their products, and they're great people to work with. So I'm really excited about this proposal. Thank you.
Do you have those high handlebars? Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I really think it's a win-win situation for the city of Revere, and I concur with the Ward Councilor Patch and Councilor Giannino. That area down there needs to be cleaned up. It's kind of an eyesore, and I mean, I'm not a motorcycle person, but it really is going to add a new look to the area. People that do have motorcycles, it's just going to be really a jewel for that area and upgrade that area. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful looking building, architecturally wise. So I will support it, and along with the Ward Councilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I've looked over the proposal very intently, and you go by that area now, and what you've got a couple of abandoned buildings. Nobody's using them for anything. They're underutilized, and if left like that, will certainly fall into disrepair within the ensuing months and years. So I think when you get a company that wants to come into this city and make a major investment and revitalize add to the revitalization of that area down there. At number one. Number two, I don't know of any residences in that area down there. There's a marsh in back of it, and I think it's a very positive step for the city council to take. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think it's a great opportunity myself. Anyone that's going to come into Revere at this point in time and invest approximately $14 million, that's a major investment. They're here to stay without question. And I just had a couple of questions. Are they going to move the Harley-Davidson of Boston on 16 to this location?
Yes.
And the reason I asked is, why couldn't we change the name to Revere instead of Boston? I understand the surrounding area, but, we're in the city's in the upswing, et cetera.
I'm not quite sure, but I do know,
I mean, that's
doing some
a request.
franchising work, quite often your name is restricted to the franchise contracts that you'll be given. And
Right,
I
but
do know they are Harley-Davidson of Boston.
Right, but that could be checked out.
Because they weren't
Right.
Harley-Davidson of Everett, I guess.
I know that.
Yeah, so.
Well, they didn't have enough brains to ask them, that's why.
Very
All
good.
right? No, I think it's great, Mr. President. I believe that you're going to be using the old Johnny's Food Masters as a showcase, all the new bikes, et cetera, and probably the other parcel abutting it will be used for maintenance, et cetera. Would that be?
Storage right now.
Stor-
I think the maintenance will be done on the main site. Right now, storage with the facility
Yeah.
next door.
But you
Even though
won't-
we hear that the city is so inclined to hotels, there was some contemplation of a Harley-Davidson hotel at some point. But,
Well, we could,
but I
right.
think
That's not a bad
down
idea.
That's down
right?
the road.
But again, I think it's a great opportunity for Revere to take advantage of this, and I will speak favorably about it at the subcommittee meeting. I think it's absolutely great opportunity for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm really excited about this proposal. Some months back, somebody suggested to me that a Harley-Davidson place was coming to Revere. I said I haven't heard anything about it. And then when I heard that Harley-Davidson of Boston was coming to Revere, to this site that we desperately need cleaned up, it was almost like a dream come true. I mean, when you look at it, it's a perfect opportunity. It's a win-win for both Harley-Davidson and Revere, because it's a much better location than where they are now. It's much easier to get to. The highway access is much better, and it's just really a perfect spot. It's just another little piece of Revere's future, and I'm looking forward to that beautiful building being down in that really depressed area right now. Thank you.
Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, I thought earlier that Councilor Corrigia was going to admit that he was a member of the Hells Angels when he was coming in and stating all these reasons why he thinks Harley-Davidson is a great opportunity to come to Revere. But certainly the economic value of it coming into the community. And you have to put a lot of wisdom behind when you site area location, and maybe in their executive wisdom, they noticed across the street a very nice-looking building, and maybe that helped them make the decision as to why they want to come to Revere. But certainly, it would not lead anything to the disadvantage to have such a gorgeous building across the street. But welcome to Revere, and I think it's going to be good for our community. I think we have a lot of people who enjoy riding motorcycles, and I think you have a lot of customers right within our community. So, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Well, I have two things. First of all, I want to know where you're putting that giant flag, that American flag. I want to see that flying over that area. I love that flag. But I want everybody to realize that tonight we're only talking about zoning. I hope everybody realizes what they said tonight, because they're going to be up here again for the special permit, so you shouldn't have to say anything after this point. All your good things were said tonight just for the zoning portion of it. So, but I do look forward to it, and I will, when it comes to voting for this zoning change, I will be there. So, with that, this will go into the zoning subcommittee. for deliberation.
Calendar item number 13, report of the appointment subcommittee.
Councilor Guanasso.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier this afternoon, the appointment subcommittee met, and we had several items on the agenda. The first being, and I would ask that the council take all these votes into one. I will read each individual application and position applied for, or appointed to, and then at the end, if there's any objection from the council, if they so see fit, they can make an objection to an individual spot. First being is for a reappointment to the Parks and Recreation Commission, term concurrent with the mayor. Mr. Paul Argenzio was voted out favorably before the subcommittee. We had 3 members that are still remaining in committee until they come before our subcommittee. Number 2, a reappointment for Revere Cultural Council for a 3-year term expiring March 2016. Ms. Dr. Babe Wunderlich was reappointed. And there were also members there who weren't in attendance, and we were asked that they come to our regular next meeting. The next was the appointment of the Election Commission for Mr. John V. Camarada to fill the unexpired term of Mr. James Dixon, who resigned on April 16, 2013. And that was voted out favorably also. For reappointment as a licensed drain layer, Procopio Enterprises, that was voted out favorably. For reappointment as a licensed drain layer, Caruso Corporation, that was voted out favorably. The application for appointment to a drain layer, Richard A. Peters, was tabled. He did not appear. For reappointment as a licensed drain layer, Menino Construction Company, that was voted out favorably. I asked the City Council vote favorably, as the subcommittee did. Thank you, Mr. President.
We'll
Take
vote on them all
at once. Yes,
one
please.
vote. Roll call. Roll call.
That the appointments be confirmed as reported by Chairman Guanasso. Councilor Arrigo.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Correggio.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Janino.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Guanasso.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hass.
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Patch. Yes. Councilor Penta. Is Councilor Penta? Appointments? Yes. Councilor Powers?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Reardon is absent. Councilor Zambudo?
Yes.
Yes. And Council President Novoselsky?
Yes.
Yes, appointments have been confirmed. Calendar item number 14, communication from the mayor relative to National Missing Children's Day proclamation.
And this will be brought up at the May 13th meeting.
Calendar item number 19, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request the MBTA to relocate bus stop at 79 Beach Street to 119 Beach Street.
Speaks for
Councilor Powers.
itself, Mr. President.
All in favor, all opposed, vote so ordered.
Calendar item number 20, motion presented by Councilor Zambudo in recognition of the late Adele J. Toro's unique contribution to the city of Revere by her untiring efforts to secure the conservation and designation of Rumney Marsh as an area of critical concern, thereby preserving for all times over 2,800 acres of marshlands, which the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has characterized as one of the most biologically significant estuaries in Massachusetts. That the mayor, working in conjunction with Roseland Properties, place a memorial sign honoring Adele J. Toro on land owned by Roseland Properties near one of the benches on the westerly edge of the Rumney Marsh, adjacent to the easterly side of Salem Street, and that an appropriate dedication ceremony be arranged during the month of June 2013.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. Everybody knew Adele Toro. Some thought she was a thorn in their side because she worked so tirelessly on so many issues. But the most important one is the securing of that Rumney Marsh situation. And I just feel that it's, I apologize. I wanted to add Councilor Patch to this motion. I just think it's completely appropriate that we honor her in this way. And that is certainly a critical area there, and if it wasn't for her work, it would have never happened. So that's what this is about, and I'll save my comments for the dedication.
Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Del Toro, I've known for many, many years in my life, and she's just been a remarkable woman. She helped me in many campaigns when I ran for office, and she always did what's best for the citizens of Revere. And she was always up here, no matter what the issue was, providing information for councilors, information for developers, no matter who was here. And she's a woman that will never be forgotten. She loved the city of Revere, and I'm glad this motion is coming about. Thank you.
Any other councilors? Any other councilors? Well, I appreciate this motion, but I just have some questions, Councilor, because, we have a protocol that memorial signs are only to be placed for veterans, only for veterans and city officials. Now, we cannot put one up for her on city property and/or keep it decorated because of those rules.
If you read my motion, sir, it's asked to be on Roseland's property, on private property.
And who's going to put it up? Roseland? Is Roseland going to put it up for us?
I think that's something that we can work
Well,
out.
I'm just saying, it can't be done by the city.
Well, I think that we have to decide, is this an appropriate situation for her contribution to what is, simply read the motion, see how critical that area was, how important that was, and I think that we can make it work within our framework. It's not supposed to be a veterans memorial or in any way infringe upon a veterans memorial, and it's dictated that it will be on private property. We'll work it out with Roseland. I will do the work if I have to get this done. Thank you.
Like I said, I just want to make sure the city has nothing to do with it and we don't have any maintenance.
Well, I disagree with you.
Well, I don't. I can appreciate it.
The city has nothing to do with it.
We can have one put up for Carol Sinclair.
No.
She was a great worker too, but
This
I
is on
appreciate what the protocol is.
Did you read the motion?
I did, but I don't want to do it.
You're not understanding the motion, sir.
Send it to
Let's vote on the motion.
Subcommittee, DPW.
Calendar item number 21, motion presented by Councilor Patch that the mayor request Mass Highway to clean the areas on Asti and Lucia Avenues abutting Route 1.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. It speaks for itself, really. It's just that I just wanted to make sure that, because I know the person that called me a few weeks back would be looking for it. But the work order's been in for about 3 weeks. About 3 weeks. So hopefully it'll get done. It is a mess. If you go by there, it's unbelievable. And also, can I amend it? Can I also put, I know the Ward 4 council right here, but I went up on Master Street, and they have the same problem. I mean, it's that whole stretch of Route 1 that from the Revere line all the way to Copeland Circle, if they could clean it. Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 22, motion presented by Councilor Arrigo that the mayor request the management team of the Hill School project in conjunction with the school department to appear before the city council on a monthly basis to give the city council an update on the construction and cost of the Hill School and other related projects.
Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. I put this motion in because I thought that the idea of having a regular meeting with the folks who are building the new Hill School would be helpful. I know Councilor Penta last year had come up with the idea of having a joint meeting of the utility companies, and I thought that had worked pretty well. And I think that having some of the changes that are happening in the design of the school, it'd be good to get a monthly update and hear about where we are as far as the budget. Thank you.
Any other councilors on the motion? All in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 23, motion presented by Councilors Gino and Powers that the mayor request inspectional services to require the owner of 585 North Shore Road to address the tractor trailer tipped on its side as a matter of public safety.
Who wants it first? Councilor Janino, Madam Vice President.
Thank you. This was a motion I put in. I was driving home one night, and I look over, and I see this giant trailer on its side in the middle of the highway. And quite frankly, when you're coming in from Salem or Lynn into Revere, and that's one of the first things you see, it looks horrible.
Yeah.
And then you have the irony that it says gentle movers in big letters on the side of this trailer that's tipped over. So I was very unhappy with it, to say the least. And it looks awful, and I really want to have it fixed as soon as possible. And not only for the aesthetics of it, but for safety. You know, if you have a call to this property, you're putting police officers in danger, firefighters in danger. You don't know how structurally stable it is. So I definitely want to see it addressed as soon as possible. Thank you.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, Ms. Janino spoke to me last week regarding this motion, and I think it's an excellent motion, and it adds to the conversations I've had with the building inspector that go back several months. And while they moved 2 pieces of equipment out of there, that truck is still laying there on its side. I've also asked for a structural engineering report on the building itself. I spoke to the building inspector as recently as today, and I still don't have that report, and I've asked him if he would expedite getting us that report, and also getting that vehicle turned upright. So, I think it says something that is not good about the city of Revere when people drive through here and they see a vehicle turned over on whether it's a private lot or not. It just doesn't look good, particularly because of the size of that vehicle. So I'm going to be again in contact with the building inspector within the next week or so, and hopefully through Ms. Janino's efforts and my efforts, we'll get that resolved. Thank you, Mr. President.
Just a question. Would fire inspection be involved in that?
I don't believe so, because there's no flammable material on that building.
Just double checking.
Thank
you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, the vote is so ordered.
Calendar item number 24, motion presented by Councilor Powers that the mayor request inspectional services to make a determination as to the ownership of the former St. Teresa's Church on Revere Street. Further, that the owners be notified to clean the area around the building from cardboard and other debris.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. Once again, we're at the end of April. Springtime is here. And I went by that building the other day, and cardboard boxes on the front stairs, cardboard on the side. And that is not the city's responsibility. It's the responsibility of the people that own that property now, whether it's a church or a factory or whatever is going on there. It needs to be cleaned up. People live on Ford Street shouldn't have to look at that all the time when they go by. And again, another piece of property that says something about the city of Revere in a very negative way when people come through our city. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I concur with Councilor Powers. I walked down Revere Street on those side streets a couple of days ago, and it is a mess, and the whole place is abandoned. And a couple of people mentioned to me that there's paper cups and there's other debris, so it needs to be addressed. So I support Councilor Powers with that motion. Thank you.
On the motion. All in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 25, motion presented by Councilor Guanasso that the mayor request the DPW to repair the potholes at the base of the driveways of 29 and 23 Dawes Street. Plowing over the winter has caused severe damage at these locations. Several requests have been made for these repairs, but the work has not been completed.
Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, I have good news. I spoke with the Director of Public Works this afternoon, and he assured me that, in fact, after his review, and he really said the street's a mess, so he's going to do a whole new sidewalk and to correct the whole situation, and he's going to do that within 2 weeks, and I'm very, very happy to hear that, and I'm sure that the residents of Dodge Street are going to be happy too. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 26, motion presented by Councilor Haas, that the mayor requests the appropriate department to remove all sneakers from telephone pole wires throughout the city.
Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Councilor Ganasso. I was going to put this in about 5 months ago, 6 months ago. As I travel Revere, which I do every day, I noticed more and more people are throwing their sneakers. It looks like a ghetto. Here we are, we're trying to build up Revere, and you go Central Ave, Adams Street, Fenley Street, Sigourney Road. I mean, I would thought someone would have enough brains as they're cleaning up the streets to at least talk to the fire department when they're responding from a fire or a medical aid, just to have them stop for a second, put the ladder up, and take them off. Someone has to be responsible for it. I mean, here we have all these new items coming into Revere as a quality city on the move, but all of a sudden you turn the corner and you see something you may see in another city without mentioning names. I guess it speaks for itself, Mr. President. The bucket truck.
Thank you, Councilor. Thank you for putting that in, because I have at least 4 locations down in my neighborhood that I've been trying to get a private vendor to go around and cut them down with a cherry picker. So, with a bucket truck, right. So I know I have 4 locations, and I would recommend to the councilors, the ward councilors or any other councilor, if you have a list, of locations, put it together. I'm going to throw it onto the clerk, give it the list to the city clerk, and
Mr. President, point of
compile
information.
locations, and hopefully we can get it done that way. Councilor.
Point of information, Mr. President, I've always had great success calling the fire department, and they graciously go down. Actually, when it's convenient and you have an apparatus going down that street and you have the ladder, just go up and take them down, and they do. They take them down in a reasonable time, too.
Well, that's a good point, and I would still say if we put a list together, we can get it over to the fire department
Absolutely.
and ask them to do it.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 27, motion presented by Councilor Powers, that the mayor request Mass Highway to clean the sidewalk area on Route 1A from John Ave up to Mahoney Circle, also known as Bell Circle. Further, that the areas under the guardrails that abut the marsh area also be cleaned.
Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. You drive up North Shore Road from the Lynn line, you get into the John Avenue area, and you go up to Revere Street, and all you see under that guardrail is litter. You go up to the lights on Revere Street, I think there's probably more cigarette tobacco there than there is down in South Carolina or wherever they make them. And I think Councilor the Ward 3 Councilor Ganasso, he shares the same sentiments, I think, with regard to the area that we both share, a common area up on American Legion Highway. People just pull up there, they empty their ashtrays, they throw the cigarette butts out, and you can't just leave it there. It has to be cleaned up. So I would hope that the mayor would make this a priority telephone call to Mass Highway to get the prisoners' crews down here, get Mass Highway crews, whatever it might be. That grass now is low. You can get that debris out of there. Once the marsh grass starts growing, it becomes more difficult. So again, if we want to be proud of our city and have our city look good, I think it's incumbent upon all of us and the agencies that come into our city to make that happen. Thank you, Mr. President.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Calendar item number 28, motion presented by Councilors Correggio and Haas, that the Mayor and Elder Affairs Director for fiscal year 2014 budget for a new senior transportation van. The van currently in use constantly breaks down and is in dire need of repair.
Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. President. Numerous seniors have been bringing this to my attention. The senior van that provides transportation to all our seniors has been broken down. It's been out of service for about a week, 2 weeks. And I was down the Friendly Gardens the other day and 45 Dalton Avenue, and they're bringing it to my attention. And also the Rossetti Center, people were calling me from there about that, and then also the mayor's office. So it's long overdue. The seniors, they deserve quality service. And a new van, if we can look into it and try to get funding for that to provide better service and help our seniors. Thank you.
Councilor Hess.
Let me assist my brother again.
It speaks for itself, the motion.
Oh, that's good. Okay.
Thank you. Sure. Councilor Patch.
Yeah, I just want to mention that I think this is a good motion because I know this to be true because they've been borrowing the school, one of the school vans. So you know, it's thank God, you know, it's good that Superintendent Dakin allows this because the senior citizens will be out of a van. I mean, but I mean, it also takes away from the school department. So hopefully they can get a new van. I think the senior citizens need a new van, and hopefully we can come up with the money for it. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Hess again.
It works. I
plug it
think most of the council have been involved in this motion. You know, Tony's called up, Jack's called up, I've called up. I don't understand why we haven't gone out and rented a van. You know, I heard from someone from the mayor's office say we don't have the money. We have all kinds. I mean, the money we're spending, granted, most of it may be grants. I think because a new engine, what does a new engine cost? $4,000? I mean, really, that should be expedited. And when I got out, I was down to senior citizens. I told them what we did. And again, I don't want credit because it was the city council that got involved. All the councils got involved. But I can't believe how long it's taken the city to respond to this issue. Thank you.
On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilor Zambudo, in order that the city is ensured that the school department shall continue its commitment to pay the annual serialized debt service for the $2.5 million bond for renovations to the Old McKinley School. An agreement shall be crafted and signed and voted by the school committee, the superintendent of schools, and the mayor that states the above commitment, and further states so that there shall not be an increased burden on the taxpayers of this city. The monies that will be used to fund these serialized debt payments shall be made from the school department budget in such a fashion that shall never increase and affect the city's contribution to the net school spending.
Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. This simply reduces to writing what I think we all expect of the agreement that was made for the school department to pay for the bond to renovate the McKinley School. It puts everything in writing and makes everything crystal clear, and that's all it does. It doesn't change anything we've done or anything we will do, but I just felt that this would be an extra bit of protection to have this agreement in writing. Thank you very much.
Good motion. All in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilor Haas that the City Council present a certificate of commendation to Rita Singer at the next regular meeting of May 13th. This certificate is in recognition of her 80th birthday and her commendable public service to the City of Revere during her 18-year tenure as a City Councilor from 1976 through 1993. Furthermore, Rita was one of the first female City Councilors, as well as the longest-serving female City Councilor in the history of Revere.
Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I believe it speaks for itself, but I'll have a lot to say on the 13th.
Thank you for the motion. All set? Anybody else? On the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered.
Late motion presented by Councilor Novoselsky that the City Council issue certificates of merit to the SWAT team involved with the arrest and capture of suspect number 2 in the Boston Marathon bombing.
Thank you. Pushing it too many times. First of all, I want everybody's name on this motion. You know, I don't want just my name on it because it's something that affects our city. And I'm not going to say what Big Pappy said, but it's our city. But I want to make sure that the first responders at the attack, Sergeant Mason and Officer Joe Covino, who were runners at the marathon, broke off as soon as they finished the line and went back as first responders to tourniquet a lot of these people. And I think, I know the SWAT team comes second, but it's very important that they were the first ones on the scene. Matter of fact, I know that Mike Mason was within 30 feet of the first explosion near the finish line. And he finished off the race and went back and helped all those people. And Joe Covino, I believe, was back at the second explosion, a block and a half back, and he jumped into action. And I think it's very important that here are two guys who are Revere police officers, put their training into operation and into that first responder time. But I also want to make sure that a gentleman named Larry Hittinger, who everybody saw his picture in the paper handing off a little child to the EMTs, who was on the scene, and he was a spectator. So I think it's important that he be recognized. And the SWAT team, I don't know all the guys on the SWAT team, unfortunately. I know the chief has it, and I know that Mike Travato was there, and they were, without a doubt, the first ones that handcuffed suspect number 2. And so I think it's important that, and the chief was there, we saw him on TV, he was interviewed several times, there were some great photographs of him on the boat itself. And I think it's important that these folks be recognized, that Revere be put on the good map. I know we were put on the bad map at the beginning of the night when they suspected someone that lived on Ocean Avenue, and they were down there for hours and hours and hours to find out that nobody was there. But I know, George Rotundo's in the audience, and I know he works at Brigham and Women's, and I know they got a lot of, injury people at their location along with the other 9 hospitals. And I know that everybody wants to speak. So, I'll start at one end and we'll go to the other end and let everybody say their piece, because I think it's important and we recognize our people who are heroes. So with that, Councilor Arrigo.
Thank you, Mr. President. You kind of said it all, but we are pretty lucky to have the chief that we have, and to have some of the folks on the force that we have who were able to respond and were able to assist in apprehending suspect number 2. One thing I also want to kind of mention is our high school student whose picture got thrown on the front page of the New York Post, I believe, as a potential suspect. And there was a terrible decision by the New York Post to throw his face on the front page. But we are very lucky. We had some early bad news, and I think it ended up turning out very favorably for the city of Revere, and it is important that we recognize that. Thank you.
Councilor Correggio.
Thank you, Mr. President. I can't say enough for these officers. Myself being in public safety for over 32 years in the fire department, no words could describe. These officers reacted immediately to be able to offer comfort to these patients. And we're all Americans. We all help one another. I never saw such teamwork and dedication from the officers and everybody involved, and then catching the persons that did the shooting, to be able to protect the country, protect Americans. I just can't say enough. They should be commended and be honored that we have fine officers utilizing their training for what they've been taught. So again, they should be commended, and I take my hat off to them. Thank you.
Madam Vice President.
Thank you. Well, growing up with my dad in the police department, literally since before I was born, I've always been unbelievably proud of the Revere Police Department. But, this was a day that everyone who has a loved one on the police department fears, something that can really put them in harm's way, because you know very well that every day when those loved ones go to work, they might not come home. Whether it's on the police department, the fire department, an EMT, those are the people that put their lives on the line every single day. And to be from a community with so many heroes, you know, those men and women were on the front lines and they were the ones that were there. And I could not be more proud of all of them and their efforts. And really everyone in this community has every right to be that proud of them. And I encourage you to say thank you. When you see them on the streets, stop them and say thank you, because they really deserve it. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, as well as the rest of my family, so thank you.
Councilor Guanasso.
Mr. President, I think very clearly over the past week we have shown what the word American means in one after another heroic act of very courageous people going to aid another human being. And I just think that it sends a tremendous message to everybody, not only as another reminder to the people who live in our great country, but also to the outside world, to our other friends in the world, to show what kind of unity we have under these awful, dreadful times of crime and viciousness. The act itself, who knows what the real answer is? To me, I try to mind search this and think about it, and the more I thought about it, the more I became gravely ill over it, that this is not a good thing for anybody. I can't imagine what would make anyone reach these kind of levels. But the other thing that we've done in a positive vein, a lot of people, and I haven't seen much of this or any of it really in the press or on the news media, spelling out these individuals from Revere who are within our community, who are heroes within our community. We knew they were heroes before they went to Watertown that night and before they went to Boston at the marathon event. We knew they were heroes, but this is a proven fact. This is really showing our great city what wonderful representation we have in our police department and the services that we provide for not only our residents but outsiders. These are trying times in the world. It's a very dangerous world we live in, and these people are making it a little safer. And we can go home and rest assured tonight and feel very comfortable that we have these type of people protecting us and watching over us. So with that, I thank them and God bless them, and they did a wonderful job for our city, and they did a wonderful job for humanity. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Hess.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we looked over the situation the past week, I guess we were all fixed to the TV without question. We couldn't believe what was happening here in this country, here at the marathon, one of the best days of the spring, the start of spring. Youngsters have school off, they go into the Red Sox game, they may go to the marathon. But to see what was happening was deplorable, without question. And you know, what it did, it brought everyone, not only in Boston, Revere, Chelsea, Everett, but within the country together. And when you see, like, the American flag, which some of us wear, that's what it's all about. The loyalty, the love for this country. And to look at the unity between the federal, state, city, EMTs, and the organization that they really put forward. And they're training in this, but it really proved last week it worked, because everyone worked hand in hand for the common goal, to catch this second person. I'm very proud of our police personnel, the EMTs. The hospitals were fabulous, without question. And as I guess Councilor Janino indicated, if you see a police officer or fireman, just thank them. Because they worked horrendous hours with not much sleep, and we accomplished what we were out to accomplish. We got the second perpetrator. And we can live and sleep a lot better now, where we know he has been apprehended. But again, this is a crazy country. This is a crazy world. You never know what's going on out there. So just be diligent in everything we do. And we wish them the best. Thank you.
Councilor Patch.
Thank you, Mr. President. It's good that this is a great motion. Since the chief you know, I think most of the Boston stations, a couple of them covered that actually, they don't mention Revere though. But I mean, I got the picture right here on Facebook of the chief on the boat, and I think he was with Michael Tavato. They were on the boat. Jimmy Rose, whose parents live in my ward, cuffed him. And, you know, everybody else, you know, when I hear Boston did this, or, you know, everybody did believe me, everybody did a great job. But, you know, sometimes credit don't go where it's due, you know. And there's the chief on the boat. You know, it makes me feel really proud. It made me proud that I was a police officer, and I know he works hard for that SWAT unit. It consists of, I believe, Everett and Malden and Revere. But they were out there. I called the chief to congratulate him, and you know, he told me the basics of what really went on, and they just happened to be on the next street over when the call came in. So they got there just at the right time, and they were out there 22 hours straight. I mean, they were searching the houses, the SWAT team. So this is good. It's good for the city of Revere to know that it was our guys that did this, and you know, I'm looking forward to them getting their accommodation. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Penta.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think someone said the act was despicable, and it was. But, you know, sometimes the worst things bring the best out and show. I mean, I think Thursday night, if anybody had the TV on at 10 o'clock at night, 10:30 when it started, I think I was up for 3 days. You know, and then you take a step back and you see these officers are out there around the clock 24/7. Without even going for food. I mean, they're just involved in it. Their adrenaline's going. And, you know, they do this every day. It's just that this heightened it. I seen a fire outside down in the Beachmont area years ago, 3 houses from mine, what the firefighters put in that day. I was out there 3, 4 in the morning with wind chills 20 below zero. There was a casualty in that house fire. And if they ever fought another fire in their life, they paid their dues. You know, you see the Revere police, they get knocked for this. You know, it's unwarranted. You know, and then the Monday morning quarterbacks want to come out and this shouldn't be any. What they did, and what they had to look at, I watched the Chief's interview on TV the other day, and, you know, him saying he got emotional. I mean, how could you not? I mean, and I respect him for saying that. Here's the chief of Revere, the police department, that went over there as just one team he went over there as. Not as the chief. He wasn't a chief that day. But his team did work, and we're finding this out days later. We can imagine how many other things we're going to find out. And someone mentioned the doctors at the hospital, people rushing into the crowd. You know, Boston, I think, with the gambling going to Suffolk Downs and being spoken about going down there, brought out close Revere's. We abut Boston. It's a neighborhood community. And you know, to see people, you know, they attacked one of our own. Basically, that's what they did. And to see everybody joined together, to me, was unbelievable. But, you know, then you always step back and you just think of what, you know, these horrible things these families have to go through. And you wish you never had seen this, but they're out there. These people go through this every day, police and fire. And they don't know when that bell's going to ring. It could ring 2 seconds from now, could ring tomorrow. So I think the motion is great. I just, with a friendly amendment to the motion, is have the chief relay a lot of items to you that we probably don't even know are going to happen. Probably everybody that went over there deserves something. Just know when you're going into the situation and what you're not facing. I mean, some of these people can live this with the rest of their life, what they viewed. And unfortunately, it was a war zone that was in our backyard. You know, and with that, Mr. President, I'm glad to be an American. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also would like to add a friendly amendment. My understanding is that the SWAT team is comprised of also members of the Everett PD, and I would hope that they would be included in this. But with that said, Mr. President, you know, we live in a city that is so heavily passed through every day. We've got 60,000 odd cars coming into the city and leaving the city every day. And so many times we've heard that our police department is understaffed, and it is. Going back to when Mayor Haas was mayor, I believe we had 117 members of the police department. So we're down, 17, 18, 19 members now. And I think in spite of that, members of our police department went out there and responded to a very, very difficult situation. And at the end of that difficult situation, they could truly turn around and say, mission accomplished, because that mission was certainly accomplished. And I am so proud that members of our police department took a very active and integral part of that mission and were very successful. And I can't applaud them enough or thank them enough. And it makes me so happy to live in this city and also be a member of this city council and represent the body of government here. And it's just a great thing, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Zambudo.
Thank you, Mr. President. We here in Revere know that we have a truly professional police force. From the chief, starting with the chief, down to every last officer. And we expect this kind of work out of our men. But our chief of police was on the boat, stripped the suspect in a couple of seconds to make sure he didn't have a bomb on him. And another one of our officers cuffed this guy. Now, we know that all the federal agencies and everybody, there's too many people want to take credit. I didn't hear anywhere that my chief of police was on that boat and did that. I am so proud of these guys. I can't even put words together to describe it. We know what we have here in Revere. I think it's time that others know what we have in Revere. I'm proud to be part of this city and proud to have this type of a police force. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. We have someone in the audience that wants to address the motion. Name and address for the record, please.
George Rotondo, 45 Howman Street. You can't do any more than what you're doing, but there's more that should be given. I got called in that day. I was with my daughters, and from that point, as Councilor Penta had said, everybody's been glued to the TV. Every once in a while at work, and I work at Brigham Women's Hospital, they joke about me from being from Revere. I was very proud to turn to them and say, yeah, I'm from Revere. The chief of police from Revere caught that bomber. Made me feel proud. Made me feel good. Not only that, when you think about it, he deserves, as well as every other individual there, as much credit as you can bestow on him. So I support this 100%.
Thank you, sir. And we thank you for the efforts that you put into the hospital with what you guys went through. So with that, on the motion, all in favor, all opposed, vote and so ordered. One more communication.
Late communication from the mayor relative to the appointment of Mr. John Camerata, 275 Grover Street, to the Election Commission to fill the unexpired term of Mr. James Dixon.
Mr. President, that was taken up early this afternoon.
That was taken up earlier.
And voted favorably.
Okay, so that's placed on file. And before we adjourn, I just want to remind everybody that this Saturday, April 27th, the mayor has his Revere Shines Day to clean up the city. And I hope everybody gets out. At 8:30 in the morning up at the American Legion. We'll start off and get all our supplies, and then we'll be back at the American Legion around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock for a barbecue, which I believe is being put on by our Revere Police Department and the Giannino family. So. And also at Saturday morning, there is a rabies vaccination shots for your dogs at 10 o'clock at the $10 at the main fire station Central Fire Station on Broadway. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your efforts tonight. We all did a great job, and drive home safely. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.